Learning difficulties affect 10 to 16% of the population and are non-categorical. Handwriting is just one basic academic skill that falls under learning difficulties. Having a learning difficulty in handwriting is not the result of a child being lazy. It is a brain-based issue. It's important to understand that slow or sloppy writing from a child doesn't mean they aren't trying their hardest. Writing is required by a complex set of motor and language processing skills. Without support, strategies and tools to help a child with this learning difficulty, they may have a hard time getting through school. Common areas that children tend to struggle in are basic life skills, social emotional areas, and academics in school. But why does this concern me? What obligations do teachers have to do with students that have learning disabilities or difficulties? Well, teachers actually have an obligation under the Disability Standards for Education 2005 to ensure that all students with disability are able to participate in the everyday learnings of the classroom on the same basis as their peers through dignified, rigorous, and meaningful learning programs. This applies to all educational settings and contexts, including specialist schools and support classes. According to Students with Disability, the Disability Discrimination Act 1992 and the Disability Standards for Education 2005 are intended to give students with disability the same rights as other students, including the right to education and training on the same basis as students without disability. If a student may be susceptible to a learning difficulty, it is in their best interest to address it immediately. So how do we know if a student may be susceptible to a handwriting learning difficulty? Signs of poor handwriting skills often appear first in early childhood. The signs may not become apparent until late primary school or early high school, and sometimes they go unnoticed entirely. The earlier a learning difficulty is recognized and addressed, the better. A student who has illegible or poor writing may experience physical pain when forced to write. They may even hold the pen or pencil in an odd way, struggle with aligning their wrist and body to the paper, and appear distressed before, during, and after the activity. They also may need significantly more time than their peers, and their efforts may not always be successful. Teachers should also examine written work for students with illegible or poor handwriting. In work samples, you may commonly notice an inconsistent use of capital and lowercase letters, poor spelling, missed or misused punctuation, and a difficulty with keeping letters on the line. Some students may also be born with a hand deformity and will need extra support and assistance when it comes to the skill of handwriting in general. It is important to be aware that a student with handwriting difficulties may actually have a handwriting disability, for example, dysgraphia. Dysgraphia is a specific learning disability in written expression. If you think a student may be susceptible to dysgraphia, get them tested sooner rather than later, so that the support they need can be put into motion. Formal and informal diagnostic tests can be conducted to decide whether a child has a handwriting difficulty. Informal tests include a child being identified by a school psychologist who specializes in learning disabilities. They will give a child a variety of tests relating to the skills in the following areas: the mechanics of writing, for example grammar, spelling, and punctuation; thematic, for example evaluating skills like word usage and the ability to organize a narrative; and fine motor skills. During testing, the professional will ask the child to write sentences and copy text. They will be assessing not only the finished product but also the writing process. This includes posture, position, pencil grip, fatigue, and whether there are signs of cramping. The tester may also test fine motor speed with finger tapping and wrist turning. Formal diagnostic tests include evaluating handwriting quality according to a scoring system. Children's handwriting quality are evaluated according to 13 handwriting features. These features are then scored on an ordinal scale from 0 to 5, a high score indicating deviance. If the overall score exceeds 28, a child is considered to have dysgraphia. So what do we do next now that we have identified a handwriting difficulty with a student? Support falls in 3 categories: accommodations, modifications, and remediation. Accommodations include typing on electronic devices or keyboards instead of writing by hand, and using apps that do voice recorded notes so that children can stay organized. Modifications include changing what the child learns, including allowing the student to write shorter papers or answer different or less test questions than their classmates. Remediation targets foundational skills, such as copying letters, using paper with raised lines, and the use of an occupational therapist that provides exercises to build muscle strength and dexterity. Parents are also encouraged to teach their children writing warm-up exercises and play games that strengthen their motor skills. It is important to remember to praise children for their efforts and their genuine achievement. This can lead to them being motivated to keep on building their handwriting skills. Many children can overcome and work around their writing difficulties with the embedding of inclusive environments by their teachers and their parents.